So I've been living with the factory NC Miata steering wheel for over 5 years, and it's got over 100,000 miles of wear now. Granted, I think it wears okay, it is real leather, but I've never really truly loved it. It looks okay, but it's a bit thin, it's a bit uninspired, and it's not super grippy. Now, some people solve it with refreshing it, maybe wrapping it with a new outer lining like leather or suede, Alcantara, you name it. And I've considered this route. You can do your own custom stitching and make it a piece of your own. I thought about that heavily. Then there's the aftermarket route, which is increasingly large, especially with the NC Miata, NA and NB Miatas of course as well. But there's things like Momo and Nardi and like quick release stuff, which give you a lot of cool street cred at the track, if that's a thing, but those don't retain the factory airbag or the steering wheel controls. And because I'm a little bitch, because I value safety and convenience, I wanted to keep all of that. That led me to Mas Miata, where I found the Cipher steering wheel. It's very controversial for me to have this car right now, apparently. I'm just gonna not keep that in frame. This steering wheel is why we're here today. I'm really excited to install this on my car. It's probably gonna be another one of those mods where I'll have wished I had done it years ago, but better late than never, as they say. So let's talk about this Cipher steering wheel that I got from Mas Miata. So as far as options, they have the black with gray stitching or the black with red stitching. I actually opted for the black with gray stitching. I'll take some additional photos, of course, once it's installed in the car because, well, I have the NC2 Special Edition from 2012, which actually had gray stitching on the factory wheel and also the seats. And the door cards, like it just feels like this would go with it. Of course, red stitching looks good too, but that's it. Pretty easy. There's two options, and you can see how sculpted it is. Like once I saw it on the website, I was like, huh, that's intriguing. I should probably give this a go. So add to cart, and it arrives at your door. I asked her opinion, and she didn't really have much to say, but she didn't disagree with my black and gray stitching, so that's what I'm going with. Now, I should point out, I did consider Guardian pretty heavily, and I may still consider them in years to come, but at over double the cost, it's hard to justify because this is probably similar to what I would have designed over there, but you can technically do a full custom design steering wheel and spec it up to like $1,000. Which is cool, but like that's a substantial percentage of the cost of my actual car, and I didn't feel like going that route. So I'm excited to try out the Cipher one. The added grip, the newness, just refreshing my now very worn wheel should be really fun. So let's figure out how to get this thing installed. As usual, people's first question is, what tools do I need? Because eliminate barriers to entry. Just set everything out, then you're ready. 10mm socket to remove the, I guess, airbag section, your fingers to remove clips and stuff, 21mm, probably with a breaker bar to get the steering wheel off, and I think that's it, maybe a Phillips or flathead screwdriver, but otherwise, that's it. Pretty simple as far as tools are concerned. So let's see if we can tackle this thing. First things first. Before you do any unbolting and things and such, you should definitely disconnect the battery terminals so that you don't have an airbag flying in your face. That's a terrible feeling, happened to me in high school. Do not recommend. All right, disconnect the negative terminal. Then at that point, it doesn't hurt to let it sit for just a couple minutes. Just want to make sure there's no residual power that could cause a problem when the airbag comes into play, or hopefully it doesn't come into play. So there are rubber pieces that you just pull out. The issue is at some point, someone pushed mine in. So you have to fish them out in my case and hope for the best, I guess, or at least get them out of the way, I guess. Now I can use the 10mm to loosen the bolt. So I guess, yeah, if the rubber pieces are pushed in, you can just move them out of the way and probably fish them out of the steering wheel once you get in there. That's not too bad. It feels really weird to wear shorts on camera. It feels like I'm exposed, but it's just so nice out. Why do these 10mm bolts say 8 on the end? It's super weird. Pro tip, if you don't have a magnetic socket thing, you can just use pliers and grab the bolt out that way. All right. Okay, now we have this ready to come out. And there are just some wires and clips. A pair of scissors should do the trick. No, I'm just kidding. So with this, you just have to use a flathead to essentially pop out the middle black piece, and that actually comes all the way out. I guess maybe you can keep it in there a little bit, but at that point, then you can wiggle these yellow and orange connectors off. Gradually, carefully, you don't want to break anything. Maybe use a little bit of leverage with a screwdriver equally around all areas, but at some point, they both pop out, and then your horn is free and the airbag did not explode. Looking inside, you can see the 21mm bolt that actually holds the steering wheel onto itself, and some more cables in here. I guess we'll just undo this connector right there. There we go. Now everything should be free and out of the way, and we should be able to take a breaker bar or something to this, and then we can pull it off. Let's get these switched over and we put the new steering wheel on. Cannot wait. Okay, it wasn't too bad. And it does feel a little loose. I actually wonder if it's a 20mm bolt. I just don't have that on this tire iron. The bolt is off. Now, a trick I learned from Zeke over on the Miata channel is actually leave the bolt on just a little bit while you work the steering wheel off, so that it doesn't come flying in your face whenever it does come off. There we go. Good call, Zeke. Now everything is safe and free and we're good. Let's get these pieces pulled off and see what's next. All right, welcome to my office. I now have a workbench, just doing it on top of these two Cybertrucks here. 2 more Phillips screws right there. Going to pull those out, and that should release the plastic back, and then I'll start moving stuff over to the Cipher. Should be fun. All right, so keen-eyed viewers may have noticed before that the steering wheel I was showing you was not the right steering wheel. It was for the ND Miata, which this is not. And Cameron's an NB Miata, so also useless to him. So bummer. Had to get that switched out, but now that the correct steering wheel has arrived, we're gonna perform surgery here, and I can show you just how easy it is to move this stuff over. Showed Cameron how to do the install, because I had to basically redo the uninstall. Pretty easy though, but it does feel like defusing a bomb just a bit. And sadly, it is way colder out now, so we're in the garage, heated. Better in here, but yeah, no more shorts weather for now. Bummer. We'll get out and do some more warm weather videos soon, but for now, we're in winter number 2, number 3, I don't know. Colorado winters. All right, so 2 screws here and here. This is really pretty easy. Pulling these out. I really need to get a magnetic screwdriver. And fortunately, all of these screws in here are the same screw, so you don't have to worry about keeping them all separated, which you sometimes have to worry about with these repairs. Well, I guess in this case, upgrades. Now this thing should just come off. Yep, there we go. And there are like cables that kind of wrap around. And there's also clips on each side for the steering wheel controls of that side. That's what these cables are for, if you're wondering why you're fighting something. And you actually leave that wrapped up in there if you want. That way you keep them rotationally correct. So that's the backing, which we will of course retain. And now you can see the access to 5 more screws. Once again, all the exact same screws. So you can just throw them in a pile, pull for that pile later on the reinstall. And you also see all the little edges along the back of the steering wheel. You don't really notice that when you're looking at it from this way, but you do kind of subtly feel it. So they did provide some level of grip from the factory, but not enough. So now we have this one. Now you can see the actual NC Cipher. It is of course very similar to the ND, but just different enough because all the things that come from the middle can be retained and put over to here now. Yeah, the bottom one has these things that pop out.
Little pegs.
So they take a little bit more coercion, but this slides right into here. Oh yeah, that fits.
Pops right on.
with the ND wheel, I was like trying for a little bit and I was like, wait a second.
This is a different shape.
So these all fit perfectly.
Nice.
Of course, if you want, you can take this moment to disassemble these further and take these pieces and paint them or replace them. A lot of people do that because most Miatas have gray here. And a lot of people do like the black. The black does only come on the special edition and maybe one other variant. I forget exactly. But it's not common to have the black, so a lot of people do color them. Colored in Light, the YouTube channel, he shows how to do that on his Cipher steering wheel video. So you've probably seen that already if you're watching this, but just in case, I would recommend watching his video just to see how to do it exactly if you want to go that far. But now we can reinstall everything once again. You can see the Cipher wheel even retains those same type of knobs. I don't know what you call that. And then, yeah, there you go. Dang, that looks awesome. So we can now reinstall the back, or I guess install the back because it's never been on this wheel before. And these wires kind of feed across. It might look confusing, but it does make sense, I promise. So now that that's roughly in place, I can take this time to plug in the connectors once again. So I actually have steering wheel controls. Just trying to make sure everything is fed and out of the way so that when you reinstall the airbag and horn, it's all good. So that's it. That's swapping everything over. Really super simple. All right, so we are now going to feed everything through this major hole right here. And this pops right on. Yeah, there's a bunch of splines. Okay, so from what I can tell, it is about 29 to 36 foot-pounds. I don't know what that is, but I'm just kind of going with, it's hard because I'm also, this is like making the steering wheel flush against where it should be. So the gap's gone, that's good. So now I'm just doing it tight. Not crazy tight, but like, yeah, tight. Because I don't have the right torque wrench for this bolt, but that's okay. Just so you guys know, that's the torque spec. Now, installing the bomb. It really is like diffusing a bomb. I know the battery's unplugged, but still it's like terrifying.
Match the colors to the colors.
Okay, we're good. Whew. Really is kind of terrifying. That sits there. Boom. See, that's how it should have felt from the factory.
What the viewers at home can do, oops, is to put a piece of tape on the column and the back, the bezel piece.
Yep.
And then just cut it, take the old wheel off because we're going to retain the same back bezel.
Yep.
Once you put it on, as long as the edge of the tape is lined up, then you at least know it's in the same position.
Yeah. So that's what we should have done.
So we should have done.
But that's what we do on this channel. We show you what almost to do and then tell you what to do.
Learn from our mistakes. Well, we don't know if it's a mistake yet.
Yeah.
But Jordan could be driving down the street just enough
slightly
off that
off
is
center.
bothersome.
But it looks pretty
It
straight.
looks pretty good.
Yeah.
I just don't know if the wheels are perfect.
We'll find out. Okay, now you can reconnect the battery, which always terrifies me, even though it is only, like you said, 12 volts. And that spark right there just freaks me out, but it's totally fine. Not gonna hurt you. And then you find the wrench that you lost. Of course, it's a 10 mil, that's how it usually works. And tighten this sucker down. And then you have to go through the pain of your, radio time being reset and all that, but hey, at least you have a new steering wheel and you're safe.
Yeah, I really liked that steering wheel retains the airbag and the steering wheel controls.
Yep, that's why I did it, because there are a lot of cool aftermarket steering wheels and quick release, like all that stuff's pretty sweet, but this should be the OEM Plus vibe that I've always gone for with this car. Time to get this thing out, and wow, it is amazing how you update just the minor touch points of your car and it feels so different. It definitely feels so much chunkier. Wow. Closing the garage door for my watch, because that's a thing now, I guess. It is wild to go from something that is totally circular to something mostly circular, but still the flat bottom, which I do think I actually really like. Like now I know exactly where in the steering wheel I'm gripping. Whereas before, it was, you know, all circular, all had the same ridges on the back pretty much everywhere. So you kind of had some guesswork involved. I mean, obviously you usually know where your steering wheel is roughly, but I'm pretty thrilled with this. So pulling it out, oh man, I miss this car. So it's interesting, it is like a couple degrees off center, but it already was beforehand. I don't know if you noticed that, Cameron, like.
I did just a little bit.
It was a little off. It feels about the same. The splines are placed in such a way to where I might try to move it one spline over, but then it could be off the other direction. Like, there's not enough splines almost. So I might test that out, but just as a feel, I love the variation material. This feels very much like your Golf did, actually. This kind of material, like, reminds me of the shift knob of your Golf GTI.
Yep.
But yeah, love the feel, love the material. Like I said in the beginning of this video, I think I would have preferred, like, this is maybe technically the slightest bit diameter smaller, like, but it's basically the same. It's advertised to be about the same. And that's fine. Like, the normal diameter is okay, but I actually really would have preferred a tiny bit smaller of a steering wheel. But still, as an upgrade, I really like this. It doesn't conflict on my gauges at all. Touch points, especially 9 and 3, feel super good. This added grip right here feels super good. So I'm a fan, and I love the gray stitching. Because I have the red steering wheel button, I have the red needles, I have gray stitching everywhere else. I think the gray stitching really works on this car. Red stitching would have been like just a hair too much red, but that's okay. This is really, I think, yeah, how I'd like it. So, like I said, there are plenty of aftermarket options, but there's a reason I think Cipher is so popular. It is easy to find, it's pretty affordable, plug and play, extremely plug and play, and retaining the steering wheel controls was very important to me. I'm still intrigued by Guardian. If anyone has a Guardian steering wheel that they custom designed, let me know in the comments, because I'm curious about that one. But it is way more expensive. Like, you're looking at double, maybe even more if you want more customization, like picking what materials here versus here versus here, and the stitching and everything. With Guardian, you can go 2 sizes smaller than this. I'm intrigued by the middle size because you still can see your gauges and you have just a little bit of a smaller handprint. Like, I love driving, you know, like a Lotus Elise. That tiny steering wheel is hilariously fun. Maybe too small though. But for this car, I think this suits it. This is a chunky steering wheel, but I like the feel of a chunky steering wheel in my hand. Like, it does feel like jumping into a modern BMW and feeling that chunky steering wheel. And this is, you know, the chunkiest Miata. Everyone makes fun of the NC for that. I feel like, I guess I'll just lean into it with this one. And yeah, totally fine. So, that's kind of my thoughts. We'll jump and get some pizza, because that's what we do. We eat and have fun. And then we'll get Cameron's thoughts before we wrap it all up. All right, Cameron, your thoughts on the new, nice and chunky, thick steering wheel?
It is significantly chunkier. I like it. I like the little nubs on the bottom.
Yeah.
So if you're kind of gripping it casually, like driving on the highway, still have that tactile feel. Yeah, pretty. Well, like I said, yeah, pretty chunky.
Nice.
Yeah, and I can still see everything, like you said,
Yep.
which is great.
So we will have to do some research on, maybe I'll try moving it over a notch to get it re-straightened. But I do know my alignment was slightly, the car is aligned, it's just the steering wheel part of the alignment needs some adjustment. And so that could resolve this, or it could be jumping over to the one spline over because we forgot to do the tape method that Cameron reminded me of later in the
Found
fact.
that too late.
So that's okay. Totally fine. But yeah, that's kind of it. That's the Cipher steering wheel for the NC Miata.
Yeah.
Looks really good. It does make the car feel like a step newer.
It does, yeah. It feels a little newer, feels a little bit more premium. I mean, the other wheel was pretty good too, I think.
Yeah, I think the other wheel's fine, but this does make it feel nicer and newer, not just because newer cars tend to have wheels this shape, but like the other wheel was physically worn a bit.
Right.
So
yeah. I mean, the only thing, if you look at it online or even in this video, it looks really squishy, but it's not.
Yeah, it's still firm to grasp.
Yeah.
It's not like a pillow.
Right. It is a little softer of a texture for sure.
Yep.
But I was expecting it to feel a little bit more squishy. But,
Yeah.
it's more of a preference thing.
Right.
You totally get used to it. But yeah.
Update, I took the steering wheel back off, used the correct tape method where you put the tape across, cut it, and then took it off, moved it one spline over, which I don't know how many degrees that is, and I'm sure you could look that up. I never had a chance to. And it's much better. It is almost perfectly straight. So I'm guessing there is some sort of alignment I could do on the alignment side of things to make it perfectly straight, because yeah, my factory wheel was a bit to the left. This one's a bit to the right. So somewhere in there is the truth, but I can't do any more adjusting on the wheel side. So gonna live with it. It's totally fine. It is like 1 degree to the right. And the Tesla is like 1 degree to the left. So I just have to remember my cars are opposite, but they're both very close. Another pro tip, by the way, I kept losing the 10mm bolts, like pulling them out and they would fall in there. So the trick is to have it all to the side when you're doing this bolt, and then to that side when you're doing this bolt. So fun trick, thought I'd mention that. So there you have it. That's, yeah, a quick look and quick, easy install. I mean, that really was a very simple install.
It was.
Cameron was even impressed. I mean, we've done a bunch of mods together that were thought to be easy and then weren't.
Yeah.
But that was partially us learning how to do it, partially exterior bolts in this car needing some work. This is, interior, so you're not really worried about rust anyways, and very, very simple. So if you guys want an aftermarket steering wheel by Cipher, I can encourage you to just jump to the link in the description, head over to Moss Miata. They have multiple options. Of course, they have the red stitching, the gray stitching, which I like in my car.
It does. It looks like it's part of the car.
Yeah,
Like, it doesn't
like-
look aftermarket because doesn't match, but it also doesn't clash or really draw your attention.
It works really well. I think the red stitching is maybe more common, more popular. I do get it. A lot of people like red stitching. I think some Miatas had red stitching as the accent color. But even if you don't have an NC, NAs, NBs, and Ds also have Cipher steering wheel options, which is a nice upgrade. So
at least last I checked, I don't know if it's changed, but they didn't have it for NB2, which is what I have, which is unfortunately why I don't have one. But who knows? That may have changed.
Well, you know what the solution to that is?
Buy an NC.
Buy an NC. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Stay tuned. Maybe he'll get an NC.